All right, let's dive into one of our planet's most incredible secrets. We're going to uncover the hidden and honestly amazing connection between the air you're breathing right now and the energy in the food you eat.
I mean, stop and really think about it for a second. We take thousands of breaths every single day without even noticing. But what are we actually pulling into our lungs? It feels like nothing, but it's so much more than just empty space.
So if you were to break down the air, this is what you'd find. And it's probably not what you'd expect. The vast majority, a whopping 78%, is nitrogen. The oxygen we all need to live, that's just 21%. And look over here at carbon dioxide, a tiny, tiny 0.03%. It seems totally insignificant, right? Well, just keep that little number in your head, because it is going to be a huge player in our story today.
So yeah, you can think of it like this. We're all living at the bottom of a giant, invisible ocean of gases. And these gases aren't just kind of floating around doing nothing. Nope, they are an incredibly useful, practical resource. And you can see just how clever we've gotten at using this invisible ocean. We use pure oxygen to help people breathe in hospitals. That tiny bit of carbon dioxide, we use it in fire extinguishers. It's heavier than oxygen, so it literally smothers the flames. We pump nitrogen into bags of chips to keep them fresh and crispy. And noble gases like argon, they're what make our light bulbs glow. It's a natural resource we're using all the time, in ways you might never even notice.
But of all of the gases swirling around us, there's one that is absolutely non-negotiable for us, and for most life on Earth. So let's zoom in on that one essential slice of the pie.
21%. It's not the biggest number on that chart we saw, not by a long shot. But for our survival, it is everything. This is the oxygen that fuels our bodies, every single second of every day.
Okay, so that leads to a really big question. You have almost 8 billion people, plus trillions of animals, all constantly breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide. So you'd think we'd run out of oxygen eventually, wouldn't you? Why don't we? What's making more?
Well, the answer is all around us. It's happening silently, constantly, in the tireless work of plants. They run the biggest and, without a doubt, the most important factory on the face of the Earth. Let's step inside.
This process is called photosynthesis, and put simply, it's how a plant makes its own food. It's a kind of real-life alchemy, turning pure light from the sun into actual physical energy. It's amazing.
Now I know what you're thinking. A chemical equation. Flashbacks to high school science class, right? But don't let it scare you. The best way to think about it is like a recipe. On the left side, you've got your ingredients, carbon dioxide and water. And on the right, that's what you get after you cook it all up. Glucose, which is a kind of sugar, and hey, there it is, oxygen.
So let's look at the ingredients list. Plants literally pull that tiny 0.03% of carbon dioxide right out of the air. They draw water up from the soil through their roots. The energy for the whole reaction, of course, comes from sunlight, and the magic ingredient that lets them capture that sunlight is called chlorophyll. It's the very pigment that makes leaves green.
And what does this incredible recipe make? Two main things. First, glucose. This is the plant's food. It's the energy it uses to grow. And whatever it doesn't use right away, it stores as starch for later. And second, and this is the part that's just mind-blowing, it produces oxygen as a waste product. A complete byproduct. So the plant's trash is our treasure. It's the very air we need to breathe.
But, how do we know this is actually happening? We can't see the glucose being made. Scientists, though, have a really clever way to check for its stored form, starch, which makes this completely invisible process visible.
To prove it, they use a simple starch test. First, you boil a leaf in water, which just helps break down its cell walls. Next, you pop it into some warm alcohol. This strips away all that green chlorophyll, which is important because the green would hide the result. After a quick wash, it's time for the final step, the moment of truth. You add a few drops of iodine.
And there it is. That's the proof. If the leaf has been photosynthesizing and storing energy, that brownish iodine solution reacts with the starch and turns a deep, dark, blue-black color. It's a simple and really cool visual confirmation that the plant has been busy making its own food the whole time.
So, okay, a tiny leaf can turn air and water into food. That's a neat trick. But the real significance of this process is so much bigger. It's truly planetary. It's the foundation of, well, just about everything.
It really all comes down to two fundamental pillars of life. First, photosynthesis is the ultimate source of food for nearly every single ecosystem on Earth. And second, It performs this critical job for the entire planet. It keeps the atmosphere in balance by soaking up carbon dioxide and releasing the oxygen that we all depend on.
This whole idea leads us to producers and consumers. It's simple. Plants are producers. They make their own food from sunlight. Animals, including us, we're consumers. We can't do that, so we have to get our energy by eating other living things.
So, every food chain, which is just the flow of energy through an ecosystem, has to start with a producer. Let's just take a simple example from a pond. It all starts here, with a water plant, soaking up sunlight and doing its thing. That plant's stored energy then gets transferred to a consumer that eats it. In this case, a little fish comes along and nibbles on the plant. The energy is now moved up one level.
And the chain just keeps on going. The small fish gets eaten by a bigger fish, which might then get caught and eaten by a person. But think about it. That energy you get from eating the fish, where did it really come from? It all started as sunlight, captured by that humble little water plant. All the energy and pretty much all the food we eat can be traced right back to photosynthesis.
So this leaves us with a final big thought. We've seen how plants power the planet, turning thin air and light into the energy that fuels all of us. But if the plants power the planet, what powers the plants? Well, it's that giant star, 93 million miles away, the Sun. It's the ultimate engine for nearly all life on Earth.